Hi, welcome to yet another edition of the Halal Food Podcast. Today we've got a very important person who help us understand the halal consumer landscape and where the opportunities are in terms of reaching out to the halal consumer. So I'm not going to waste too much time. I'm going to invite Waleed to first introduce himself before we go straight into it. Waleed.
Hi, it's been a pleasure to be here. Al. Thank you for inviting me on the podcast.
Yeah.
For the viewers and listeners out there, my name is Waleed Jahangir, and I am the event director for the World Halal Food Festival at London Stadium.
Yeah, that's very brief, but I think you are being very modest, Waleed. There's a lot about you that you haven't mentioned. But I'm just going to start with asking you, what was the brain behind World Halal Food Festival? Why did you thought of bringing such a thing to London or to the UK?
In essence, that's a great question. Many a moons ago, I would say this event arose through a personal problems, like many businesses have done in the past. And I realized that growing up in this country, many a moon, in the 80s and the 90s, we realized that the availability for halal food was very, very limited. And it was limited down to kebabs and chicken shocks. And that was pretty much it, which limited our social geographic area of where we would go to eat, because our lifestyles as Muslims are based around eating and eating out and family and so forth. So a lot of it, similarly like the Western world, their lifestyles can be based around food as well as alcohol. Hence, there's pubs and so forth and clubs. However, our lifestyle naturally doesn't suit that. So, our vice, so to be, as a community, is food. So, that being said, we realize that, we see our peers, our friends from other communities eating some wonderful food. But unfortunately, we did not have access or the opportunity to taste those foods. A simple analogy would be McDonald's. Growing up, everybody wanted the McDonald's, but unfortunately we couldn't have it. So when we landed in Dubai or in another country where there was a McDonald's, it was, like Disneyland for us.
Yeah, yeah.
So in essence, I decided to create a platform for the consumer where they could actually go to a festival as such,
Yeah.
and not worry about if the food is halal or haram. I mean, it's countless the challenges that Muslims used to go through and still do in terms of planning. Here's a point.
Yeah.
Where do we want to go and eat? Where can we eat? And where shall we eat? That decision amongst Muslims is a lot more challenging.
Mm-hmm.
And that's down to a few factors. Oh, we don't want that cuisine because our cuisines are limited. We can't just go to any restaurant, So let's just say our market has been brought down to 20% of the UK market, and the cuisines are very limited. We couldn't get Chinese, couldn't get halal Chinese, Japanese, Mexican, all the world foods that we want to try.
Yeah.
So hence the World Halal Food Festival developed. Over the years, it then also grew into a major platform for brands and services that want to enter the halal consumer market to come and showcase their brands. So in essence, cut a long story short, I was fed up of eating kebabs and chicken.
Yeah.
That was it.
You know
I
what?
decided to set up.
Yeah, you know what, Waleed? I need to interrupt you here, and you've made a very, very important point. You said Muslims in the West do not have access to things like restaurants like McDonald's. So when we travel to, say, Dubai or Saudi, where there is McDonald's, we rushed to it to be able to enjoy those products. So if the managing director or the top person in McDonald's in the UK is listening to you now and thinking, so there is the demand for our products if we were to go halal in the UK. What advice do you have for such a person? How can they engage with you as somebody who is doing shows to be able to understand the consumer behavior and then start accessing those markets? What advice would you give to McDonald's to step into the halal arena?
First, to educate themselves a bit about the size of the market
Mhm,
first.
mhm,
Really understand the size of the market and the potential. And that's really going into the data and looking at the demographics, the spend, the geographic placements of the community,
mhm,
and how they are being distributed amongst the world. So when you're talking about an organization such as McDonald's, we're not looking at the local high street. We're
mhm.
looking at a worldwide footprint. So just because UK McDonald's is halal, why can't the Australian and American and the German and the French McDonald's be halal as well? Um, Naturally, there's many challenges, such as a huge organization such as itself. One, I personally also believe it may be the supply chain.
Okay.
Is there a halal company out there that can handle McDonald's order?
Hmm, hmm.
That's the question.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, that we may say, yeah, let's make McDonald's halal, but is there someone that can actually do it?
Absolutely. And you've mentioned another good point there, Waleed. So now, if I were to take you 10 years or 20 years back, what has changed in terms of consumer behavior? Has the Muslim community becomes more adventurous and wanting some new products? What has changed in Europe and the UK in terms of halal market or halal consumption behavior?
In terms of a expat community coming into a country, it's evolved like any other community,
Mhm.
whether they be Muslim, whether they be Black, Chinese, Western European.
Yeah.
As the generations grow, as children are born in the UK, they adapt the tastes of their environment. So
Okay.
if their environment is UK, and everything else around it, then that's fine. Now let's look at an analogy of our parents when they first came in. They are a hybrid of their homeland as well as UK.
Yeah.
Now you look at the next generation, that percentage then gets diluted. So what's changed? Lifestyle has changed.
Okay.
The community has changed and it's grown. And as it grows in terms of birth rate, what happens is that community then adopts the behavioral and lifestyle patterns of its environment. And that's human nature.
Okay.
And what that happens is, why is that person having a burger, but I can't have that burger? Why is he having bacon and eggs in the morning, but I want bacon and eggs, right? So
Okay.
now all of a sudden you got turkey rashers and halal turkey bacon.
Mhm.
So a lot of these products and brands that have come out, they have come out due to environmental behavioral change within the community in this country alone. All
Mhm.
of a sudden, remember when halal sausages first came out, maybe 6, 7 years ago? Everyone was going crazy. Oh my God, there's halal sausages, there's halal sausages, halal
Yeah.
sausages,
Yeah.
because it was the forbidden fruit, really. We weren't allowed it. We were told to stay away from it.
Yeah.
And it was literally everywhere we went. It was on the streets with the hot dog stands. It was in the school canteens. Our friends were eating it,
Yeah.
but yet we weren't allowed. So human nature is that the more you take something away from them, the more the person wants it.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
it's human nature.
Yeah.
However,
Yeah,
these brands have now come about and kind of taken into the market. So what has changed?
yeah,
Lifestyle and consumer behavioral patterns. Chicken and chips
yeah.
and kebabs is no longer, you know, the number one trend or a go-to for a Muslim.
Yeah. Look, we unpacking a lot of things that I believe retailers and food service will be interested in listening to us to understand what they need to do to access the halal market. So if we consider consumer behavior in Europe and in the UK, how does this differ in terms of purchasing behavior, consumption behavior? How do European and UK halal consumer differ from other regions like Middle East or Africa? Can you just explain what the differences are?
Their spend is a lot more. Their spend within the UK and Europe on halal products is far more because
Yeah,
by default in these other countries, they have options, they
yeah,
have choices,
it's true.
and it's part of their everyday life.
Hmm.
Do you see
Hmm.
what I mean? So
Yeah,
the finances do get split, and it's not something they look at. Whereas when a person from France finds good quality halal meat, you have a valued customer there straight away, and then they're buying in abundance. Do you see what I mean? Reason being because it's limited. It's limited in the UK and Europe. So when they do get their hands on halal products, they will go all out.
okay, okay. So now another point.
Secondly,
Yeah, 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 yeah. Go on, go on.
secondly, the European and UK disposable income is a lot higher in
Yeah.
general with the rest of the world.
Hmm.
Thirdly, our time is very limited, which means that we don't have as much time to spend the money as someone would. So what happens is when we do get time to go out and spend money on food and holidays,
Yeah.
there seems to be an increase in quality that the Muslim is now demanding, especially from UK and Europe.
Okay, okay, okay. So, look, there is evidence that over the last decade or couple of decades, the halal market has expanded in Europe and also in the UK. So, as somebody who is organizing these trade shows or consumer shows, if I were to ask you a direct question, have you added any value? Has the World Halal Food Festival added any value to the growth of the halal market in Europe or in the UK? And also, can you clarify, are you just targeting UK or you are targeting other regions?
Well, I certainly hope we've made an impact on the halal market, because it would mean that our work and efforts have gone to waste. But in essence, if we look back at really making a mark, so the answer is not so much us. It's about the stakeholders that are involved with the event.
Correct.
If they do well, we do well. And
Mhm.
that's our primary aim. So if somebody is involved with the food festival, our aim and focus really is for them to tap into the network,
Mhm.
benefit from being there. Otherwise, there's actually no point being there. We're not really interested in what we call somebody just hopping on the bandwagon, so to speak. We're really looking at stakeholders that add value. So there's certain clients that have been with us from day dot one, and through the show, they have expanded nationally as well as internationally.
Yeah.
They have now been featured and stock their products in the likes of Sainsbury's, Ocado, and many other mainstream distribution networks. Um, it's also got a lot of media attention from BBC, from
Oh,
ITV each
oh,
year. It attracts a lot of celebrities from around the globe, which then creates a lot of social media impact as well online. But really, we are a platform to celebrate and break down those social barriers
yeah.
about the community, but using food as a vehicle as well. This is a window and an opportunity for international food brands to come on board and showcase their brands and their products to thousands that come together from Europe throughout the weekend. So this weekend is literally a mecca for them in terms of food. And they're coming for the weekend. So you've got distributors, suppliers, restaurants, and even if they're not actually featured or have a part in the show, they will still come and visit to see what's going on. Likewise, the bigger brands like John Lewis, Sainsbury's, Tesco's, Ocado, all the buyers actually turn up to the event. But for those people that have actually dealt with any mainstream buyers, you will know that you will never find them. That they will come in incognito and they won't tell anybody who they are, including myself. They will only email or call me after, or call the office post the event and say, right, we like these brands that were at your event. Can you now give us a reference on them? Do you see what I mean? Can you tell us their future plans? When mainstream organizations come to see what's happening, these are the things that we've picked up on after dealing with them.
Yeah.
What they're looking for is for brands that are making an impact visually and as well as marketing, because what they don't want to do is take any old brand, because if they see a brand that's investing in themselves, that means that they're going to drive footfall into their Sainsbury's. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what they want.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to put dead products and do all the marketing and the promotion for the product to try and sell it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And those are the key things. Secondly, packaging, labeling, clarity, all of that is key, and due diligence. If you have professionalism, that's what they're looking for, to be frank. But they're always looking for new products, always.
You said there are some companies that have been successful over the years with you. I'm going to ask you a direct question here. If another company or business is trying to come on board, what do you think may motivate them to come on board? That's my first question. And also at the end, I want you to just give us a success story of one of the companies. I know one company in mind that has grown significantly over the years, that has participated in your show. I don't want to mention the name, but I want you, after telling us why somebody should participate, give us at least one company that has grown over the years and you are proud of their participation or their association with you.
In essence, a lot of the reasons why they should come on board is fundamentally the size of the market. Within the next 10 years, 30% of the population will be Muslim, based on the stats and figures that we have been looking at. Now, that's a common known fact and figure that's been put out there. More importantly, just to put that into perspective, over 60% of the Muslim population worldwide is under the age of 30.
Wow.
So can you imagine the multiplier effect that's about to happen within the next 10 years? It's going to be phenomenal in terms of numbers. Now, all of these people are not going. There's one thing that I've seen criminals, but they will not compromise halal food. So that's one thing will not be compromised. Will grow. Now, the halal food industry is a staple industry because it's something that we consume on a daily basis. On a daily basis. So just looking at those two facts alone, the market is going to be absolutely phenomenal in the next 10 years when it comes to the Muslim consumer market.
Yeah.
In terms of this, we've seen many success stories that have gone with us. And there was smaller, well, they're not small, but they were, when they first launched, was German doner kebab. So when they first launched their few stores, we helped them launch, do the PR around it, and move forward. And they've been great stakeholders from day one. But in particular, I would say one of our main sponsors that's been with us and supported us for the last 9 years is Tariq Halal. And that for me is a very proud success story. When we first started, they actually had 3 stores. Now they have over 25 stores.
Wow.
And in the first 2 years of working with them, we all know everything's done by blessing, but we managed to create an opportunity where Sainsbury's then engaged with Tariq and got them on board there. And since then, we've really had a relationship in the consumer market together. Remember, they have stores all up and down the UK, which really gives us an indication of what's selling, what's not, and understanding the UK market. You see, right down to flavors. Okay, well, all of a sudden there's a new peri peri flavor that is out, but that's going to be the trend on the meat for the next 6 months. So let's go with that. It's simple, small things, but those insights actually mean a lot. And they have expanded, and now there's expansion plans together to the rest of Europe and Middle East with Tariq Halal. Tariq Halal has launched in Middle East as well. So in terms of success stories, yes, I would say it's Tariq Halal. But again, it's always down to a partnership, and the support has been invaluable for both the show and themselves.
Yeah. Now, another angle I want to bring in here. Do you think there is room for farmers to interact, to come to attend your show and interact with the community? Say, having animals around to talk to people about farming, about feeding, about. Do you think there's room for farmers to engage in the World Halal Food Festival?
100. What's happening is uh, there's a lot of traceability happening within the Muslim community now. They want to go back along the food chain and really educate themselves in terms of organic meat, where their meat's coming from. And farmers can play a great a part in this role in educating the Muslims on how the meat is actually not so much processed, but taken from start, from farm to fork, so to speak,
Yeah.
And I think that educational process amongst the Muslim community is absolutely fundamental, because once they are educated on different cuts of meat and different styles of meat and what they can do with their meat, and where it's come from.
Yeah.
It's not just your simple chopped up curry meat that you get from the shop anymore. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Then what will happen is the economy will grow, because what's happening is with curry meat and one cut of meat, it's only one part of the carcass that you're using.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? However, if the butchers and the farmers educate that, look, these parts can be used, we cut them, this part is better for this part is better for this kind of dish. This education process amongst the Muslim community will be absolutely fundamental.
So, Waleed, what's your final thoughts? How do you see the halal market in the next 5 to 10 years?
I believe the halal food market within the next 5 to 10 years will exponentially, fundamentally grow to a pace that I don't think the supply chain will be able to handle it.
Wow, wow, wow. Well,
because look, let's look at the shift. We're all fighting for something, and when that shift happens, I'm not sure if the demand for the quality that is required is going to be there. So this is where I believe that there is huge opportunity for any organization, any brand that comes in with clarity, authenticity, and quality will succeed in this industry.
Nice one, nice one. Thanks so much, Waleed. Thank you very much. Also, can you just, if somebody wants to contact you, what's the best way? Is it your website? Have you got a public
have
number?
a look at our overarching company is known as Algebra Consulting.
Okay.
And you can always go to the World Halal Food Festival, waleed.com, and you will see contact us page. Either way, you can find me on LinkedIn. My name is Waleed Jahangir, and feel free to drop me a message.
Thank you very much, Waleed. I think I may have to come back, bring you back to this show once this one is released. I'm sure people will have so many questions to ask. So thank you very much for coming on the podcast.